title. Earlier, Topuria posted, I'm dealing with some personal problems, so I'm not gonna fight the first quarter. So the winner of Gaethje versus Patty will be the interim title, and then they will face Topuria.
Is it publicly? There's like a divorce.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's taking photos with rappers and shit, putting it on Instagram.
No.
Yeah. They try to
Put a fucking knife right in your spirit.
This is the mother of your children, and this lady is a monster. There's a lot of ladies like that because you hooked up with a guy who's an incredibly special human being. You not just a UFC world champion, but a 2-division world champion superstar who the whole world wants to see, and you're his wife. So you're like, oh, look at me. And then he doesn't want to be with you anymore. Well, I'm gonna take you down. Reputation destruction. That's what
Dana White now faces one of the most uncomfortable and destabilizing situations the UFC has encountered in years. Ilia Topuria's ongoing divorce drama, paired with serious domestic abuse allegations, has sent shockwaves through the sport, throwing an entire division into uncertainty almost overnight. To be clear, these claims are still allegations, not proven facts. Even so, the repercussions have been significant. Topuria, one of the UFC's most dangerous and marketable fighters, has reportedly stepped away from active competition, vacating his title to focus on his personal life, legal matters, and most importantly, his children.
Who says you can't meet your wife in Miami?
You can find your wife in any place in the world.
You hear that? Put that on Only in Date on Instagram. You can meet your wife in Miami.
Alright, let's
Put it on Only in Date. It's hilarious.
every year. Why are you saying that?
Huh?
Why are you saying that?
Everyone says that.
Because you go to the party and this is the only place
Yeah.
you see, but you don't know the another part of Miami of people that just they want.
normal.
Yeah.
Best place to work out too, Miami, because you can just walk outside and run the water.
You know what I'm saying? Like somebody that knows to say something that triggers. You see, your face is saying something though.
I think the only person is my wife, probably. She's the only person. No one else, I think.
Seriously,
I think so.
that's very good.
Yeah.
You know, because you know that is a big strength of a lot of great ones were like that. Some of it wanted it. Some people wanted it. Like Michael Jordan's was he wanted you to say something to him.
Yeah.
And then he would convince himself that you said something about him really bad. And then he wanted to kill you. That's what Michael would talk about. You know?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he was playing basketball.
Right.
And I have enough of that energy that I wanna go in and take.
Almost overnight, what was once one of the UFC's most electrifying divisions has been thrown into complete uncertainty. Dana White hasn't spoken in explicit terms, but behind the scenes, this is exactly the kind of situation the UFC fears most. Not because of rankings or potential matchups, but because controversies like this force the promotion into full damage control mode. A champion isn't just a fighter. They're a brand in the face of an entire division. And when that image becomes unstable, everything tied to it begins to fracture. From Dana's perspective, this isn't about punishment or passing judgment. It's about reality. You simply cannot prepare for elite-level fights while juggling court proceedings, relentless media scrutiny, and family turmoil.
News regarding Ilia Topuria, because I do think that as of this morning, it's probably the biggest news of the day. So obviously by now, you know that he is not fighting on January 24th. You know that he is taking a bit of a break. You know that there's an interim title on the line at UFC 324. You know all that stuff and more. Well, over the weekend, he spoke to ESPN Deportes. I want to play those two clips in a moment, but I want to start with the new news first, if you will, because he posted on Instagram this morning an update on his status, and he also discussed what he's been going through. And I think it's worth reading because this is the most he has said about all this. Over the past several weeks, I've made the difficult decision to temporarily step away from defending my title. This was not a decision I took lightly. However, when circumstances arise that threaten your personal integrity, your family, and your reputation, there comes a point when you must address them directly. In recent months, I have been subjected to severe and unacceptable pressure, including threats to disseminate false allegations of domestic abuse unless financial demands were met. These allegations are entirely unfounded. The truth is not a matter of opinion, it is a matter of evidence. All relevant evidence has been carefully preserved and documented, including audio recordings, written communications, witness statements, and video material. This evidence has been submitted to appropriate judicial authorities in order to pursue legal action for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, misappropriation of funds, and personal property, and multiple threats. My initial decision to remain silent was made solely to protect my children, who are the most important part of my life. However, I've come to understand that silence under these circumstances does not protect the truth. It allows false narratives to take hold. Many individuals have faced similar situations, and time and again, the legal system has ultimately clarified the facts. Today, I'm stepping forward not only for my family and myself, but also to demonstrate that no one should be forced to yield to intimidation, manipulation, or fear. Those who know me can attest that I have never engaged in violence of any kind, and that my life and career have always been guided by discipline, respect, and integrity. I have full confidence in the judicial process and will allow the legal system to determine the facts based on evidence. Out of respect for my children and the ongoing legal proceedings, I will not be making any further public statements. I respectfully ask that speculation be avoided and that my family's privacy be honored during this sensitive time. The truth does not require volume, it requires facts. Thank you, Ilia Topuria. So that is heavy duty stuff. Obviously, we knew that he was going through some personal issues and there's rumors online, and I didn't want to partake in any of those. I had not heard any of this.
I had to dig into this. I guess I misunderstood. Ilia Topuria made headlines. My belief through the headlines is that Ilia was walking away from the UFC championship belt, thus elevating Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett to undisputed title. Now, once I dug into this, I can't quite recall why I thought it in the first place. I mean, once I dug into it, there was nothing in the article that said that Paddy and Justin was going to be undisputed, or that the UFC was accepting, or that Ilia was surrendering a belt back. And I was talking with Daniel Cormier. Daniel's always got the inside scoop. It's like, hey, Daniel, you just got back from calling this event. What is going on there? Is Justin and Paddy moved up? And Daniel said no. He said that essentially in all of these articles and all of these news waves that have now just come out on Ilia Topuria, it's repackaging what we already knew. It was Ilia coming in front of this thing and saying, hey, I'm dealing with some big stresses in my personal life, and one of the great concerns that I have is that there's going to be a claim made against me for domestic violence, and I'm sitting here and I'm just waiting for this shoe to drop. And until it does, and until I can deal with that, try to work my own personal things back into order, I won't be competing. Now, I think a lot of you are going to hear what I just said and go, hey, Chael, you're 2 weeks late on the story. No, that is the story. The story is that this made headlines for something that we were already told a couple of weeks ago, and there is no escalation from that, meaning Ilia Topuria is not vanquishing or having stripped from him the title.
So we have to go through a lot of detail. We know the case. Ilia Topuria facing allegations of domestic violence. Strong allegations. If true, disgusting. From Ilia Topuria, very disgusting. It seems a bit weird. Okay, we've had no evidence against him. It seems like Ilia's proving more, or attempting to prove more, evidence of his innocence than there is evidence of the allegations. It's a very odd dynamic. We don't normally see it this way round. Okay? And he says he's being blackmailed, and he's got proof of it, and he's going to go to court with this, and that's why he released that statement the other day that I made a video about, but it was very vague. We don't know much about this. Now we do. Let's go through the information here, the new information, the new details. More information has been revealed regarding Ilia Topuria's breakup with Georgina Uzcategui. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that was my attempt. per Rabago Isabel. I'm just reading what this guy says. He's a Spanish reporter. He's actually got quite a lot of followers, 130,000 or so. I think that's more than me. So this guy must be a pretty fucking big deal. Okay. The couple decided to split in August. I'm going to take this chunk by chunk of information and we're going to give my opinions on things as we do. Otherwise, there's just too much to go through. The couple decided to split in August. So this has been brewing for a while, which may explain how Ilia's been a bit radio silent recently in a division. He knew this was coming. This has been brewing for months. 4 months. Literally 4 months of time. This has been brewing. They split in August. And for a while, this has been silent, other than a couple of weeks ago. So that's very interesting as well, because then we get into the rest of this information, which has been posted, I believe, chronologically. Negotiations over the breakup began based solely on financial demands Georgina put on the table. Interesting way to start this. Very interesting way to start this. Now, a lot of people are saying things like, she's the rich one. I don't think that she's like...
Right now, Topuria clearly doesn't have that luxury. His decision to vacate the belt has changed everything. Contenders who had been patiently waiting for their shot are now scrambling. Matchmakers are being forced to completely rethink plans months in advance. Fighters who were training specifically for Topuria suddenly have no idea who they'll face or when, and fans are left asking the same question over and over. When does Ilia Topuria return? And what version of him will come back? History tells us something crucial. Some fighters return broken after personal turmoil, while others come back unhinged, fueled by emotion, anger, and an insatiable need to prove themselves.
Islam and Topuria fight.
I hope it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a tough fight for Ilia, for sure. Ilia make you either shoot him, which is he will stop, or no, Islam has to strike with him, and then striking, we all know how Ilia fights and how dangerous he is and how knockout power he have. So it's gonna be a tough fight for Ilia for sure, like every fight is, but I believe he can finish Islam Makhachev.
Ilia moving up to lightweight. Is it safe to say that Ilia Islam is the fight that we're sort of working toward?
There's still other possibilities. There's a lot of shit going on right now.
Did he vacate the belt, or did you guys say we don't want to hold up the featherweight division?
No, he did that. He said, I've done everything I can do here. I'm ready to move up, and he vacated it. I respect when guys do that.
Do you feel that if the UFC gives this fight to Paddy the Baddy, do you think that's the right thing?
It's a mess right now at 155 pounds. It's very difficult to say, Paddy Pimblett, you're next up, when you haven't fought Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. I understand Arman weighed in as a backup. I gave you a shot for you to weigh in. You don't make weight. That doesn't make a company very, very happy. And can that company trust you? Who's done more than Justin Gaethje as far as favors for the UFC?
That's not realistic, bro. The UFC moves on, bro. This is how you matchmake it. It does have to be Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, and you do have to be fair. Give it to Arman. Arman does deserve.
The MMA world has seen both outcomes, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes this situation so volatile. There's also the question Dana White-nosed fans are already asking. How long can the UFC realistically wait? 6 months, a year, or even longer? At some point, divisions have to move forward. Interim titles become real ones. New champions emerge. And when the former champion finally returns, he may no longer be stepping back onto the throne he once held.
Stepping back into the throne he left behind.
I had not heard any of these allegations or rumors, innuendo, any of that. And so you can understand even more so why he would want to step away and not focus on fighting or defending his title, because obviously there's a lot going on. It's extremely sad. It's, I feel for everyone involved. I feel for his family. I feel for his kids. It's an awful situation. And so let's see what happens. Let's see what becomes of it. And let's see when we can see him back in there. As of now, there's no real timeline set in place. He spoke to ESPN Deportes about that, about his decision to walk away. Here's what he had to say, and I'll read the subtitles for you in case you're just listening to the audio. Finally, Ilia, because what the public wants to know, you announced not the first quarter that you'll fight in January. When would you like to fight? When you feel it's time to return? Well, Ilia says, as I've communicated, I'm going through some personal problems. I do not have an exact date when everything will be fixed. I hope that as soon as possible, as soon as it is solved, I will be ready to go back. In the octagon, I prioritize at this time the welfare of my family, of my children, my own. So as soon as everything is solved, I will be back to the octagon to give it the show that everyone deserves. He's then asked if he's going to be there. We are making decisions at this time, whether I'll make the trip on January 24th, but I hope so. I hope so. So that's what he had to say to ESPN Deportes on Saturday at his own event, WOW FC. I believe that was in Madrid. Interestingly enough, PT alerted me of this. It was actually streaming on Cristiano Ronaldo's YouTube page. So great, publicity. He's now teamed up with them and they're trying to do big things over in Spain. He was also asked, by the way, how the UFC was handling the situation and the kind of support that they were giving to him. Here's what he had to say. I think a lot of people were surprised that you were not fighting in the first quarter, at least. But how is it with the UFC? Are they understanding? Because obviously all the fighters can go through problems such as what you are going through. How understanding was Hunter and the other people involved? The truth is, Ilia says, they have been excellent. We have a special connection. I have understanding without having to give a lot of explanation, understanding from them. From the very first moment, they have extended their hand. I have been offered their support in any time I needed it. So I don't really know. I'm very happy for the support I've received from them, for the understanding, and also happy about the steps that they have to take. It has obviously been a conversation we have had, and as a promoter now that I have the experience, I also have the experience of going through this part of the sport as a promoter and not only as a fighter. I understand in many, many more ways that perhaps. So I am very happy, to be honest, because of the relationship that I'm starting to have with the UFC and for the understanding that they have had with me. So there you have it. He is very happy with the support. He did also say that he wants to finish his MMA story and then go into boxing, but that's a lot of steps away.
And actually, all of these articles going around, all of these stories you're going around, you're hearing about Ilia Topuria have no direct tying to Paddy the Baddy and Justin Gaethje. I get where this is confusing. I even asked Daniel that. I said, hey man, what am I missing? I get the severity. I get that we don't want to lighten up a personal topic. And when domestic violence is thrown in there, I get that we don't want to do that. I thought we dealt with this a couple of weeks ago. Is there about to be a legal charge? Is there about to be an investigation? Is there something new coming from this? And the answer was no. But it's got Ilia in a panic. So I start reading these articles. I start going through them all. I'm going, man, these headlines are very misleading. Let me get to the bottom of this. And Ilia does at some point make that statement, which is, I knew that this was going to come out. I thought staying quiet was a way to deal with it. But I've now learned when you're quiet in the world of PR, it gives fuel to flames of false narratives. So I'm going to come out and I'm going to let you know that I am expecting sooner or later an accusation to be made about domestic violence. What do we do with the interim belt? I mean, I feel awful for Ilia Topuria, but not having heard any of this story, not having Ilia said that, or getting Daniel to explain it to me, or taking my time and going back and reading through the articles so that I come to you guys and I don't misspeak. Absent of any of that, I would have been able to tell you
if Topuria does return, it won't be easy. He won't get sympathy matchups. He won't be allowed a slow rebuild. Dana White's UFC simply doesn't operate that way. He'll be thrown straight back into deep waters against hungry contenders who have been sharpening their knives while he's been away. And yet, this could also bring out the most dangerous version of Ilia Topuria we've ever seen. A fighter with nothing left to protect but pride. A fighter returning with something deeply personal at stake. And a fighter competing not just for championships, but for legacy and redemption.
I'm just giving my honest opinion on this. If somebody does something that horrific to you, your first thought is, let me get money out of him so I'll stay quiet about it. So maybe you could say, oh, she's gone through a terrible thing and she wants to get compensated for it, and maybe this is just, you know, who are you to tell her what way she should react to this? But to not even make a complaint about it at all until Ilia starts negotiating for a breakup, and Ilia files a civil separation lawsuit and talks about including the child and focused on shared matters, including the child, to not even mention this at all to anyone. But look, after being notified of the separation filing, Georgiana began looking for a lawyer to represent her, at which point she alleged she was the victim of abuse. So only once Ilia Topuria took this to a legal standard and took this to a legal level and wanted to split and was discussing custody of the child, did this even get brought up in the first place?
These are the kinds of fighters who either crumble under pressure or become nightmares for everyone in their path. For now, Dana White's focus is on keeping the division alive, protecting the sport's integrity, and letting the legal process play out without rushing to judgment. But make no mistake, this situation has already left a lasting mark on the division. The belt is vacant, the contenders are circling, and when Ilia Topuria eventually returns, the UFC he faces may look very different from the one he walked away from.